Hi, I just want to go through an example of a Bund trade and the context that was used to support that trade. I feel that context is a very important piece of the puzzle, whichever system you're using. So in this case, you can see on the left hand side I have a daily chart and a 60-minute chart. The daily chart shows a very clear downward trend, and this red trend line had been broken a few days prior to the day in question, which was the 3rd of October. And what happened is we were coming back to retest it from above. Now the short-term trend was very clearly up, and that's important to recognize. So on the 60-minute chart, you can see that we have moved up, but we are in a we were in a channel pulling back, a very clear channel, and we were coming into channel support around here. Now you can see that the channel support on the 60-minute was at 139.77, and on the daily, the trend line was coming in at 139.76. Very close, and when things come together like that, it's always something worth taking note of. We can see that the session started definitely on a downward note, and that was fine. Nothing really came off from a entry point of view, from a signal point of view. There weren't that many great clean setups, but what happened was when it came down into this area at 76, 77, we were getting more signals. So you can see here there's a crossover, which is the blue, and another white entry, which was a jump off one of the signal lines. And actually those would have triggered in. And again, we've got another one here. However, knowing the context of how important this area was potentially, we wouldn't have taken that trade. We wouldn't have taken any of those trades. We would have wanted to see what happened subsequently to those tests. So initially we saw a bounce after those two rejected signals, and at this point I was actually discussing in the room, in the EU room, that it would be good to take a long if on a retest lower it could not push through. And what happened was that we did get a signal short. Wouldn't have taken that. That was actually at 76. And if I can just scroll a little bit further, you can see that the low was made at 75. So what we have here is the first legitimate long setup. Now normally we wouldn't take these against the EMA, but in this case it was very acceptable given the context that we'd have tested this support line on the daily and the 60-minute, and we'd tested it twice and we'd rejected it already. Now this was an entry at 86 and the target was just 94. Now you might say that that's not a huge amount of profit considering how much the market had been moving. However, what it was a solid context driven profit. So as we can see, the market did actually get up to the target here at 94, and it tested and it tested and it tested, and it actually came back, and it would have given a potential stop here for locking in a tick. However, I know at the time when it hit this 94 that it did actually trade, and I think I've made a note of this. Yeah, So it did actually trade about 1,000 contracts before it came back. That should have been enough to actually get you out. However, if it wasn't, you really should have been hitting out, and you still get your profit. Either way, it's certainly not a loser, and it makes a lot of sense based on the context that the market is showing you from what it's doing on a daily and a 60-minute. And you can see subsequent to that, the market really just went up and up and up. So that was an example of context and trading the Bund. Thanks for watching.